I think we are ready to start. Good morning, everyone, and I would like to welcome you to Sustainable Places, and more specifically to our session, Scaling Impact, Pathways for Sustainable Building Renovation in Europe. My name is Stavros Spiridakos. I'm an energy efficiency and stakeholder engagement expert in ICP in the Netherlands. Today, I'm having the pleasure to moderate a quite interesting, I would say, session, including, as you can see, a lot of distinguished speakers, where we are going to explore a little bit about the work and the most forward-thinking European project in the field, I would say, of sustainable building renovation. The goal, I would say, of today's session is like to explore how these all initiatives that we're going to see there, Citizen Renovation, Multicare, IGIR, IAQS, REFhouse, and Supersign. We're going to explore how these initiatives and projects and organizations are driving and scaling up all the renovation efforts, mostly focusing on the circularity, on digitalisation, social inclusion, which is one of the most important parts the Commission is highlighted today, resilience, and of course, the policy alignment. I think it's these themes, I would say, it's quite interesting of today's discussion, and I'm going to illustrate how all these research results are being transformed into the real world. That's what we want to share with you, the real world experiences. So over the next minutes, we're going to have, in the beginning, 5 minutes like product features in order to mention to you a series of the projects showcasing all these innovations that are going to take place. Then we're going to have the interactive panel discussion where you're going to give us your questions if you have any. We have already prepared some questions in advance, which I'm going to ask some of our speakers in order to provide you with some of the questions that you might hesitate asking. And then we're going to have the wrap up and the next steps and the others. Really briefly mentioning only the names now and the position, I would say, of each one. So it's going to be me as one of the speakers. It's going to be Lucas, who is a project manager, and he's in charge of the Multicare, I think the dissemination, if I remember correctly. Then it's going to be Armod, which is a research engineer in the energy efficiency in buildings in SEA. It's of course Mikael, the director of future solutions and public affairs members of IAQS. We're going to have Xavier Antolin, who is a project technical coordinator, and of course Dr. Paula, who is going to represent like the Supersign as the scientific coordinator of that project. What to say before starting my presentation? I would say first of all, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you very, very much for filling out the gender equality rules as well. It's a pleasure to see that many women assisting us and providing us this. We want the session to be a little bit not that formal, so feel free after all of the projects to ask questions. Do not hesitate. We're more than welcome to provide all the expertise that we're having and have been during the project to you, as this is the most important. Sadly, you're going to hear me for 5 extra minutes, as I'm going to be the person who is going to present. I'm going to present the Citizen Renovation, who is an initiative, a direct contract from the City Energy, with the main role of putting the citizens in the driver's seat of the renovation, putting the citizens in the center of the renovation, and having them to be like the core of the other parts. The Citizen Renovation is completed of 2 phases, 3 actual phases. The first phase took part in 2023 till 2024, where we have like 4 pilots only. The pilots were energy communities. We had the 3 pieces, Copernico, Energent, and Iskra in Bulgaria. We also had some 6 followers, which is basically some additional energy communities, not fully focusing on their support, but of course providing some extra support to them. And of course, we have the enablers board, which consists of MEPs, in order to guide us and support us, in order to fully align with all the policy framework that is existing, and to try to motivate and manipulate or enhance, I would say, and influence the modifications of the renovations with a core perspective of the citizens. Now we're in the second phase. As you can see, the numbers are much higher. We're having 6 pilots, which of them are first of all the Girona in Spain, the Zudria in Belgium, the municipality of Almossondo in Hungary, Castello Greenhouse in Italy, Serra Tondocco in Italy, and Reposto e Guardaborsone again in Italy. As you can see, we're having a lot of Italians, so I think it quite fits well for the Milan case of sustainable places. The selection of Italy was not on purpose. Basically, it was a fair procedure with the whole selection, with evaluation in others. However, it is good to highlight that Italy is having, I would say, the most energy communities, the most active energy communities of the whole Europe, and the application we received from Italy was quite impressive. We're also having 15 learners, which is like energy communities again. We are going to be helping them a little bit get inspired and assist with the renovation. We're going to see a little bit. 38 followers instead of the 6 that we had, and of course, again, the enablers board with new MEPs in order again to guide us and support us when needed. As I said, the main name of the project is to empower the energy communities and municipalities and one-stop shops. We make it a little bit more inclusive in order to put the citizens in the driver's seat for energy renovation. So basically, we want all this service to be for them, for you, for everyone, for the people that are working and being supporting, in order to strengthen the community building, to assist in programs, maybe replicating progress as we're having a lot of exchanges, as we're having a lot of network of energy communities. There is happening a lot of exchanges, and of course to help them a lot with overcoming financial, legal, technical information barriers in order to deliver some future-proof residential buildings. This is the main pillars that we are having in the full support and the whole consortium. We're supporting in 6 different pillars. As you can see, we're having a project management, administrative, and monitoring. We're having, of course, the business case development, the ecosystem build, project pipelines and investment plans, which is the most important part, I would say, of the future, as we are supporting all Danish communities building their own business plan or remodifying as well to see their own business plans. We're having the preparation of the technical design, and of course, the communication and engagement. That's why we're having Pia and the colleagues from the standbys, who thanks first of all for supporting, organizing all of this, and supporting the project as well. As I said, what we offer, what was the main purpose? Basically, we are having the pilots, the 6 pilots that we mentioned, and we are supporting them with the 6 pillars that I mentioned previously. But we're having also the learners, and the learners, as I said, are energy communities, and we are guiding these energy communities in developing their capacity for initiating renovation projects. So we're motivating them, and they are pushing them a lot with the one-to-one consultancy by our experts, with interactive activities, with presenting learning packages, with like a lot of how-to guidances and those kind of stuff in order to fully assist them in all the trip, in all the renovation journey that they have to deal with. And of course, you're having the followers, which is like the less involved, I would say, in communities, but still one of the most important parts. Right now, we're having 38. So it's basically communities interested in exploring the concept of the CLR, citizen innovation, of having the citizens in the center, and the energy communities. These energy communities are provided with all the insights, all the learning materials, all the one-to-one guidance sessions, and of course the networking opportunities. As I said, we're having a lot of network, a lot of energy communities. If you count everything up, it's more than 60. So there's a lot of exchanges between the energy communities happening, which is the main goal and the purpose of what the Commission and the DG wanted. Really brief, mentioning through the pilots that we're having right now. First of all is the Italians. The first one is the Castello Green, which is basically a cooperative renewable energy community with a huge focus in the RES and in the eco-sustainable and participatory renewable energy sources. Then it's the Antrodoco energy community, which is a municipality-led energy community, promoting energy autonomy and focusing more on the public building, on the rooftop with solar PV installation, with a biomass district heating network. We're having the REP of Boston and Guardaborsone, which is basically 2 villages, 2 small towns, that they developed both of them renewable energy communities, and they wanted to join forces in order to collectively gain this experience, to collectively being supported by the CLR and form one joint renewable energy community. Currently, they are engaging 15 buildings, with including households experiencing energy poverty, comprehensive energy upgrades, and similar others. We are having the municipality of Almosolat, or how it's called, I cannot speak Hungary, sorry, which is basically a municipality which is also having an energy community, but we decided to include the municipality itself in order to show the inclusivity of the CLR wants to offer, as our solution is not only targeting the energy communities, it's targeting municipalities, targeting one-stop shops, which is basically a proactive rural municipality, integrated behavioral change, digital innovation, strategic planning to launch a renewable energy community. We're having the Kirona, which is basically the provincial council, the governmental, I would say, council, which is supported by 5 local energy communities. So it's quite inclusive, a big, I would say, pilot, one governmental authority with 5 energy communities. And there we are focusing in order to set up a robust ecosystem, financial, technical partners, and assisting them with the energy auditing and all the retrofitting guidelines that they want to support us. They have a lot of old historical buildings which they want to retrofit. And then it's the Zudriak, which is in Belgium. It's in the Antwerp province. And basically what they want to achieve, they want to receive support on refining their business model. As said, this is one of the core parts that we're offering as CLR. But of course, they want to scale up with approximately 5 million heating network extension, which are going to be co-funded by residents and municipalities, and we're guiding and supporting them a lot with this grid connection and expansion of the grid. Next one is going to be the Multicare project, which is going to be presented by Lucas. So Lucas is actually a project manager and social market researcher with more than 15 years of experience. The numbers are going to be there. You cannot see that he's that old. In international project under various European programs. His currently expertise in focus on market analysis, social research, biometrics, UX, UI studies, and of course in the co-creation. In Multicare, Lucas, as I correctly remember, is co-responsible for the dissemination activities and the social assessments of the renovation. Lucas?
Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm going to present the Multicare, especially focusing on the few aspects that are the core topics of today's session with regards to circularity, resilience, and social inclusion. There is only one slide for the summarizing the project, so I'm not going to the details. Everything is on the presentation and on the website if you are willing to enter it. So moving forward to these topics, the first one was the circularity. So in terms of Multicare, we found the circularity here, especially by producing the low carbon facades and multi-layer skeleton for the existing buildings as well for the new build ones. The circularity means in our case that we're trying to use recycled timber, for example, to build the facades, and as well those facades are to be a plug-and-play system. So if the building, for example, the main core construction of the building is getting older, so it seems to be destroyed, you can unattach this plug-and-play facade and move it for another building. So it means that if the main building is in bad condition, you can reuse the facade in another one, making the costs much more or less. Plus, of course, the using the recycled timber also make it more circular. The second aspect of the workshop is to analyze the resilience. So we are having in a Multicare, as the name suggests, the multi-resilience approach, changing from the state of art, focusing on different hazards. We are merging them all together, and in our case, we have heat waves, flood, and the earthquakes. So by making digital tools as well, multi-sensors, we are trying to combine this into one solution. So as well, the exoskeleton, the facades will be used for both all the 3 hazards, not only for strengthening the building construction for the earthquakes, but also It provides more effective indoor quality in case of the heat waves by attaching another layer. For example, with using the automation of the blinds, when the sensor receives the information about the upcoming heat waves, the blinds are going down. So one of the solutions we have. Another aspect of the workshop is the digitalisation. So, as I said, we are focusing on all of these three hazards, and by providing a support decision tool, we'll be able to send the information to the citizens' special mobile app, informing them about upcoming hazard events. And what is more into my, let's say, part of the multi-care is how to involve the citizens or the residents in particular to be more active. So first, they are a part of the co-designing teams. So it's not like that technicians give them already made solution and say this is how your facade will look like after our renovation process, but we involve them to co-design this. As well, one nice thing that we could say is that after measuring the building, thanks to Napoli University, we recreate the almost same part of the building in the laboratory, which allows us to measure the seismic damage of the building. So we recreate a part of the already existing facade. Then we provide with a seismic test. So the exoskeleton multi-layered facade is tailored for each building, can be tailored for each building separately, depending on the materials that are used for the as-built facade. And another aspect of the social inclusion is to gather the residents of the building, showing them what kind of facades they can have on their building. So there's an app for this, and during the workshops, the citizens are enabled to choose between different options. What are the main focus? So, for example, we can imagine that in the social inclusion, social housing, they will go for more cost efficient ways, not focusing on many other add-ons that will make the facade more costly. But in that way, there is no only single solution that can be used. And I think that is, and we found it quite a good feedback from the residents that they can really design their facades. They can choose among some different materials that can be used, colors, additional attachments, sensors. They can choose, as you can see, a green facade. So there is many options for them. It's like playing a bit of Lego bricks that they can play with this. So also some way of gamification could be added to make it easier for the residents to design the facade. So that was my approach for this workshop, showing these four topics, let's say. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Lucas. Indeed, it was quite important to fit how this low carbon solution could fit, I would say, into the real world and could provide this safety that it is it's quite important to for the social housing perspective. Next, we're going to have Miguel. So, what to say about Miguel? He's going to present to us not a project but an organization, which is basically Mike Borgeson. I hope I pronounced correct.
It's okay.
Is the director of the Future Solutions and the public affairs of the Sweden Group. He drives the strategic process in these areas with great expertise in HVAC and of course building automation, and he's true committed to advancing the indoor climate solutions with the company and across to the industry. So, Miguel, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. And I would like to start, of course, to introduce you to IAQS, or Indoor Air Quality Society, which is a relatively new gathering where we're collecting experts within the industry and research regarding the field of indoor environment. It's a non-profit organization based in Belgium, but we have a lot of different members across IAQS that covers a broad field of indoor climate or indoor environment, and in that sense, putting a focus in that area. And that will be my focus for this short speech as well. And in reality, I will actually introduce you to two projects that we're actually driving within IAQS. And I will lead you into at least the first one, where I personally have been involved a lot to kind of study and structure that kind of project. And that is the project that we call Breathe Healthier Together. It's a project where we try to define the current situation for the indoor climate in Central Europe. We believe that there still are a need to understand the kind of development needs and where we actually are in different key aspects. So we will, in this project, actually measure. We will install sensors for temperature, CO2 level, VOCs, all the traditional kind of measurements that we need to have detecting the kind of inner climate, and together with all, of course, user studies as well. And the ambition is to do this in two major cities around Europe. Actually, it has been developed to 3 cities, so we will do it in Brussels, Amsterdam, and Liverpool. And we will try to cover key areas. So it will be work-related environments, it will be school, kindergarten areas, and maybe also ward-related amenities as well. The ambition with this is, of course, to, together with computed simulations, detect the current situation that we actually had, so we have a good base for the different decisions that we need to take in the future. I will come back a little bit to indoor and outdoor aspects in the next project I will present as well. But even in this case, it will be very relevant to find the kind of base level for where we are today versus where we would like to be in the future. Talk about resilience, talking about health and well-being, and of course, basing that towards an energy efficient solutions for the buildings, so since that is one of our aim targets. So the aim with this project will be, and the project participants will be researchers and industry combined. And this will be funded by the participants doing the study itself. And this, I think that is one of the IAQS strengths, to combine the knowledge from the industry itself, and together with research doing the kind of more strategic structural measurements. So the increase of knowledge and awareness is the aim. We will show comprehensive data for a time being in the surroundings that we actually will start measurement. And of course, the ambition is to find the tools to increase health, to increase productivity without increasing energy efficiency, rather decreasing energy use and going more towards our trend with net zero buildings. So that is a super interesting project that we will drive within IAQS. And if you would like to know more, I'm here, of course, and I will be here after the session as well. The second project I would like to introduce as well, which is a really interesting way of also looking more or less into the same topic of health and well-being, but from a total different angle. This is a project what we're doing together with Philips Foundation and the Cardiology Centers of the Netherlands, where we try to find the correlation between indoor-outdoor condition versus health issues. And in this case, we're talking about heart diseases. So we will try to find out if social economical status or and maybe air pollution has a kind of interference of each other. If we can see and draw some conclusions regarding this kind of combinations. And in this case, we're using cardiac CT calcium scores to determine the health perspective, and then we will combine them, as I will show later on. Why is this important then? Yeah, because we know, and this is good in one way, because we are in Milan. It's one of the worst areas in Europe regarding outdoor pollution. And that has an effect on people. And we need to start to determine how big that effect is. And we, of course, know already that we also have indoor pollutants as well. We have tobacco smokes indoor, we have chemicals we're cleaning with, we have furnitures that we are paintings, we have building construction materials that we touched into just recently that also will have an effect on this. But the unique part of this is the correlation together with the kind of diagnosis teams, where we get a result from CT scans when we can see the calcium scores on a relatively huge number of patients, and using that together with measuring their homes, both their outdoor condition and indoor condition, and then you can correlate those data and see if we can draw a conclusion. Because in the end, the ambition is, of course, to kind of find policy guidance documents that helps the future legislation and future policies to drive in the right direction, and also to realize how dangerous it could be if we're not taking care of the indoor climate properly in the end. So support public health policies is the outcome. But I guess there will be a lot of interesting data that we can publish during the study itself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mikael. I think most of you understand this essential health dimension that needs to be included, that is already starting being included in the renovation procedure,
Yep.
And how important it is to have all these sensors to provide us all the necessary guidance, I would say, in order to live a better life inside the buildings, which is basically the purpose of the renovation itself, to assist the whole living conditions inside the house.
Yep.
We're going to speak a little bit, as I'm having also some questions for this.
Yep.
I noticed some smoking reference there, so I would like to learn a bit more. Next one, it's going to be it's here, which is going to be quite interesting. Don't be afraid of the title. It's quite important. Basically, it's the digital and physical incremental renovation packages, systems enhancing environmental and emerging behavior and user changes. Arnold Alonjay is going to be our speaker, our presenter for this project, who is a research engineer in the building energy efficiency at SEA, based in the France National Institution for Solar Energy. He had worked in many research projects dealing with the performance assessment, thermal inertia, and of course the natural ventilation and retrofitting strategies. We're going to discuss a little bit more about the retrofitting after, but the floor is yours now, Arnold.
Thank you. So I'll introduce the ADR project. So I might say things that the multi-camp projects say, because the objectives are quite the same in terms to have a holistic approach. So maybe I will move. Yeah. The project objective is to define a holistic approach for retrofitting, to have like a modular strategy and take care about the sustainable and circularity project. And the objective is to demonstrate what we will develop on a real demo site building. So it's to take care of research and then go to real site. So that's two different worlds that need to be tried to get this holistic retrofitting approach, not only on papers, but on real site with the constraint of regulation of different countries. So we are getting in 3 pillars in AGR project. So try to develop some physical components to get some retrofitting approach. On real building, we need to have like real physical components. So we'll deal with like the envelope. So objective is to be a modular systems in order to be easy to install without disturbing too much the people living inside, because there's some people who cannot leave their homes. So that means we need to integrate some industrial and prefabrication in the process. One challenge in retrofitting is to bring some fresh air, so indoor air quality is quite important. But it's maybe sometimes opposite to the energy efficiency. For that, heat recovery systems are quite interesting, but quite challenging to integrate into retrofitting. So we are working on integrated ventilation systems into our prefab facade in order to not have problems to bring some fresh air ducts inside the building. So that if you don't have like false ceilings, it's maybe challenging. So bring the active ventilation system into the prefab facade is one of the options. Coupled to the ventilation system is maybe try to get some active windows in order to automatize some natural ventilations from strategic windows in order to maybe reduce the ventilation amount of energy needed for electricity. Also to increase again.
No,
Sorry.
That's not the word.
So increase flow rates, and we are also trying to integrate renewable energy with solar energy, either for electricity or domestic hot water. So this is the first pillar on physical components, and we want to be sustainable. So we need to integrate these components from the scratch, from the project. All these developments need to be supported by the sustainability approach and the circularity approach. And the digitalization might help also to combine all these aspects. So we'll go back to slide before. So for that, it's quite challenging because it's across many different topics and skills. So the project is 29 partners in order to demonstrate, to do the research and then to demonstrate on 4 real buildings. So we have a school in Spain, elderly people residents in France, some social housing in Denmark, and individual houses in Romania. And we cover quite a large, broad of scope in terms of partnerships from companies who are dealing with materials and components. Some are more specialized on system and digitalizations, and till to the construction and to the demo owners in order to try to imply the real building owner in the process. And then we are supported by RTO research. So we are in the last year of the project, so we will start to implement the development into the real building. So let me go back to the up. To example, what is the strategy on circularity regarding EGA is to try to define the most appropriate KPIs, because when you speak about circularity, you have plenty of different KPIs to look at. So how you need to select a few one in order to be still able to quantify them from the beginning of the project, and try to say, okay, we are at different levels, we develop a component, then assembly and buildings. So you have like circularity problematic at each level, so you need to integrate that in the process. And circularity might be also a bit theoretical, so how you apply that to the 4 real building we have to measure that in reality. And then we want to reuse materials, so that's problematic of insurance, find the material availability, and on local context for the different demo building. So try to find the appropriate material in an area not so far from the demo building. That is also a challenge, in addition to the life cycle cost analysis. Regarding the digital tools, the objective is quite ambitious in EGA, is try to have like a quite broad approach as well, with some dedicated digital tools to support the physical components development. So we have like a prefab component in order to calculate what is the best option in terms of life cycle analysis. So we have a building facade configurator in order to facilitate in an early stage on what is the typology of facade we want to, because we have a modular approach. So depending on the existing building, you can not push standard solutions. So you need to choose what is the best modular approach. So we have like very specific tools supporting the EGIR solutions at the design phase, but we also need some tools for the operations and the application of the physical component. And one of the main challenge is also to have like some data is going through the different tools, but not everybody, every actors who gets his own data, fill it in the digital tools. So the collaborative suite with the common data environment, and try to get the link between all the tools and a structure and unique set point where we put the data. And yeah, I think that was the main challenge.
Thank you very, very much, Arnold, for this, I would say, amazing presentation. As at least for me, it relates quite a lot with the perspective that we want to offer. And it's important to see how this retrofitting model could be come to a real world. If I remember correctly, it's 3 demos, so it could be quite 4. So it's going to be quite important to see how this is going to take place in the real world. All these variations to be established. We're almost there, only 2 projects left, and then you are coming to open floor. Now we're going to speak around about the REC house, and which is basically the accelerating the European renovation rate. If I recall correctly, the EPD, the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, states that this renovation rate for the Europe is 1%. So we're going to hear from Javier Antonin how this project is trying to accelerate this percent, I would say. What to say about Javier Andolin? It's basically he's an industrial engineer with specialty in mechanics in structures from 2010, with a master's degree in management and occupational risk prevention, quality and environment in the fields of industrial safety, industrial hygiene, ergonomics, and psychology. Both gained at the School of Industrial Engineering and the University of Valladolid in Spain. He has also a postgraduate in energy simulation of buildings from the University of Barcelona, and he's also a scientific measurement verification professional. He's also a certified energy auditor, and the last, I believe, is that he's a performance measurement and verification analyst since 2021 from the EVO, the Efficiency Evaluation Organization. And I think the most important is that you are the coordinator of the project, right? Okay, so we're going to hear from the
thank you.
Okay,
thank you. Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm the technical pre-coordinator of REC House. My name is Javier Antolin, as has already been mentioned. So I would like to give you a quick overview on what is REC House, what we are doing, and how we are aligning our project to the different topics that we are covering today. So firstly, only to give you a quick overview, what is REC House? What does it mean? So we are creating renovation package in order to improve the current EU buildings that we have in EU. Our idea at the end is to integrate renewable energy systems in order and also to create cost-effective solutions for our buildings. For this, we are developing 8 renovation packages that integrates different innovative solutions in order, as already been mentioned, to increase the current very low EU renovation rates. Our idea is at the end of the project to have solutions that allow the EU to improve this very low renovation ratios and to have decrease this number of renovations, with the idea to have deep renovations. So, we have for this 4 demo sites in which we will be deploying our 8 renovation packages, one in France, San Diego de Bosques, one in Hungary, in Budapest, one in Italy, Margarita di Savoia, and one in Chimeria in Greece. Our main principles in this project are to create renovation packages. As I mentioned before, these renovation packages are prefabricated in order to reduce the time and cost during the construction site. Also, our idea is to integrate renewable energy systems, to use smart management systems. Also, our solutions are multifunctional, so this means that we are not only covering one function, if not several functions with the same solution. We are using recycled and biosourced materials in order to increase the circularity of our solutions. And also very important that our solutions are affordable for the end users, so we are taking into account also the cost effectiveness. The main objectives of the project, as you can see here, and trying to align this with the main topics that we have today. So first one, we are considering the people in the center of the stage. So we are considering the needs and requirements of the people and when we are developing our solutions. For this, we have created social task forces. Then I will be entering more detail in what is this. Also, one of the objectives is also to increase our TRL levels from the before the project from TRL 4.5 to TRL 6. So we will be doing in the labs or in the, let's say, in the main facilities of the developers of the renovation solutions. So we will be achieving this TRL 6. Also, we are using digital solutions. So for this, we are considering the BIM-based workflow, and also we are integrating the IPD methodology in our approach. This means that we are considering all the phases of the construction from the design until the operational stage. Also, we are considering the end of the life, but it will be not covered by the project, although we will be creating guidelines in order to define how we will be achieving this end of life of our solutions. We will be deploying our 8 renovation packages, as I mentioned before, in 4 demo sites with the idea to validate them at TRL 7. So we will be achieving TRL 6, in, let's say, in the facilities of the developers, and then we will be achieving this TRL 7 once we are deploying these renovation packages in our buildings, and we are validating them, getting data, and checking that everything is working well. Also, we are working we are defining business cases and business models and how to move from, let's say, from the TRL 7 to TRL 9, defining these pathways and how to arrive to the market. We are checking how to replicate our renovation packages, not only in our demo sites, if not also to move them to other contexts. And we are trying to create these strategies. And also very important for us, these actions related with dissemination and communication, as this one. Okay. And now I will try to give you some points in how we are aligning our project to the different topics that we are covering today in order for you to have some ideas on how the project is moving towards these specific topics. So the first one, circularity. In our case, we are considering this aspect because once in our design, in the design of our renovation packages, we are already considering circularity by using, for example, recycled components, or also using waste materials, or for example, waste goods that could be part of an isolation system. So in this way, we are considering this circularity. Also, as I mentioned before, we are creating guidelines in how to about what to do once these systems has arrived to the end of the life, or how we can dismantle everything, how we can reuse the things, how we can recover the materials. Our systems, as I mentioned before, are prefabricated, so and are made of modular components. So this means that everything that can be taken out once the end of the life is arrived. And okay, this is for circularity. For digital tools, also in the project we are working towards this part. So we are creating a digital building logbook in which we will be storing the data for all the project phases. So we are covering, as I mentioned before, from the design until the operation. So we will be collecting all this data in our digital building logbook. Also, our digital building logbook will be integrated with other additional digital services. So we are considering also the building renovation passport. So with the idea also to define future steps in order to improve the energy efficiency of our buildings. So with the project, we will be achieving one step, but we will be defining the roadmap in how to improve this energy efficiency later. So this is part of the building renovation passport. Also, we are integrating the SRI. This is one of the most relevant topics in this sustainable places event. So we are integrating the SRI also in our digital tools. Also, we are integrating a KPI calculation tool that will allow us then to validate the performance of our buildings and our innovative solutions. We are integrating the BIM-based digital twin. This means that we will have like a 3D model of the buildings in which we will be able to see the values that we are getting from the different sensors and different monitoring systems that we'll be integrating. Also, we will have a digital catalog that it will be like a digital catalog of our renovation package solutions that someone can enter inside and check what we are doing. They can also download guidelines and also some models that we have created. So we are still working on all these things, but we will have this as one of our main outcomes of the project. Also, we are working towards the social inclusion. So mainly we are working here taking into account the people as the center of our stage. So we have, as I mentioned before, defined social task forces for each of our demo sites. So these are specific groups that try to work together with the people that lives in the buildings in order to get or to understand what they require, what they need, and take this into account in the design of our solutions. So we have been working very closely with them. Also, in terms of resilience, we have defined, and this is more or less what I've already explained before, multi-prefabricated components and digital modelings that will allow us to increase this resilience of our systems. And also we are contributing to the policy alignment for this. This project is very aligned with the renovation wave, the EU strategy, with the idea to, as I mentioned before, to increase at the end the EU renovation rates. At the moment, the EU renovation rates are very low. So the idea of this project is to give tools and solutions in order to increase this. Also, we are working on the standardization. So our idea is to create, to take into account the standards in order then to have more possibilities to replicate our solutions, not only to use them in our demo sites, if not also to expand this scope to other contexts or other countries. And also, we will be creating guidelines with the idea to give them to other people and that can understand what is behind our renovation package, how they are fabricated, how they can be installed, and also part of these guidelines will be the, let's say, the part of the circularity in how we can reuse the materials, recycle the materials once the end of the life has achieved. And okay, I think that's all from my side. So many thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Javier. It's indeed quite important in case you want to finalize in the process and try to split up indeed this large scale renovation to impact the renovation rate with these multifunctional, say, renovation packages that we're introducing to the house. In order to finalize all the presentations that we're having and to offer you the inclusivity that we want to showcase, what is left, we already analyzed a little bit the health impact, the health dimension with indoor air quality. We analyzed retrofitting with Arnold. We analyzed, of course, the renovation packages in order to speed up. We analyzed different parts. What is left is the economics, the finals, and whom are appropriate to present to us by a professor. So Dr. Power Zerilli is an associate professor in finance in the University of York and director of the MCH in sustainable finance. Her expertise is in different derivatives, energy markets, innovative finance mechanisms to support these investments in energy efficiency and renewable resources. She has direct experience with finance markets, and she's worked for a number of years as a trader in the Italian treasury bonds. The most important is that she is currently the scientific coordinator of SuperSign, which is a follow-up, if I recall correctly, of the Super I, where you were the coordinator there.
Yes.
So it's important to see this follow-up project, how it provides this important aspect in the finance.
Thank you so much, Carlos, for the presentation. Thank you, Pia, for the organization and everyone for being here. here. I'll give you a quick overview about our project. Actually, the colleagues from Cartif are a partner in this project as well, and they've been taking care of the technical aspects. Okay. Oh. Right. Too far. Sorry. Okay. So originally was 36 months, but got extended because of COVID anyway. This project is the follow-up from Spry, where we were focusing on energy efficiency intervention in social housing. Supershine goes a step further because it focuses on the district and also how the social housing buildings are interacting with all the services and with all the neighborhood, really. So our lighthouses are in Denmark, they are in Italy and in Latvia, but we also have fellow cities that are in Portugal, in Serbia, in Spain, and in Turkey. So as part of the project, we have also partners from social housing associations for all these countries who have been collaborating with us, telling us directly what they need, what type of interventions they would like to put in place, and telling us really what are their financial needs. So, and as part of the project, we have been taking care of various aspects. So there are the colleagues who are focusing on the technical aspects, the type of interventions that could be done, and they're actually starting putting in place as we speak. So we are talking about deep renovation involving walls, windows. In Trieste, we have also green roofs, floors, to increase the energy efficiency of these buildings. And the colleagues from Cartif, they were focusing on technical aspects, other colleagues on the environmental impact. We have been, our team has been focusing on how to fund this type of intervention. So the key thing is that our partners are the social housing associations, are the ones who are going to perform these interventions, and they've been telling us, what are the finances, what are their constraints, and together with us, we've been working out what is the potential cost of this intervention, and we've been considering various ways of funding them. But the first step has been the evaluation of the potential energy, the consumption before and after the intervention. So as you can see, in the case of Riga, is the one that is going down the most because the starting point is really, really bad. The energy efficiency is really, really low on the buildings. But also potential energy savings. Also, probably the next slide is better. Is from another point of view, from the point of view of the energy savings. So this line is the energy savings coming from all the interventions, and then we broke them down in the various components: wall, windows, roof, and floors. Why we have to do that? Originally, obviously, the think energy of scales is economies of scale. Sorry, is the clear approach that from an economic and financial point of view we should have. Obviously, to do all the interventions all together will be financially the most effective way. But there is a but. So that is I think the most interesting aspect of our project is that by collaborating with the social housing associations and also with the association of the tenants, in the case of Denmark, they are the same, okay, because the tenants, they actually own, they are the social housing association themselves. from collaborating with them, we realized that sometimes it's not possible to do that. So sometimes they need to do the intervention one by one because there are financial constraints, there are constraints with the people who are really living there. They cannot move, in order to decrease the impact on their day-to-day life. They can't do all the interventions all together. So we had to do the financing, not only considering all the package together, but also splitting the various interventions. But obviously, there are savings coming from both. Okay, so the CO2 emissions are related to that, obviously, with the increasing the energy efficiency. We have a huge decrease in CO2 emissions. So we have been calculating the potential energy savings and transform them into financial returns for the whole period for the whole period that is required in order to pay back the intervention. And we have been experimenting with various financial models, particularly public-private partnerships, because where we are coming from is our goal is to split the risk, to share the risk between public associations and private sector funding. And actually, the contract that among we have been considering many, the ones that we have been considering, the ones that are working the best for our lighthouse districts are the shared savings, where an energy saving company is actually borrowing the money and providing private funding. And is also taking the risk of the case where there could be years when the energy savings are not enough to pay for, the cost of the investment. But this, on balance, it is balanced out over time during the period of the payback period of the investment. I can tell you more details about that if you want later, but actually, just to tell you, the policy is very, very important because at the beginning of the project, Italy had different constraints. So they could borrow money, they could have more funding from the government. Halfway during the project, this changed. So for them, actually guaranteed savings where they could borrow money directly would have been the best choice in that case. But then things changed and we had to redo all the evaluation. And that's why, okay. But from my financial point of view, we have been, I'll just say this and then I conclude. The most important thing that we need to evaluate is the return on investment. But you can see that we have done the calculation considering the payback period of the investment, of the return on investment for all the parties involved in this contract, for the affordable housing company, for the ESCOs, and also compare with say a safe return from the market, Standard Poor 500. But you can see that in all the cases, this type of investment is very profitable for all the parties that are involved. So compared to the market return is pretty high, obviously, because there is a risk involved, but by sharing the risk, this becomes feasible. Do I have 1 more minute or? Yeah.
If it is one, though.
Okay, thank you. So we have done that for all our lighthouse districts. But of course, both the people, sorry, I'll just get a sip of water. I speak much. The thing that is most important for the people who are living there is to decrease energy poverty. And of course, is one of the things, that is the language that they understand. And one of the things that we have been discussing with them because they've been involved since the beginning. None of this has been done without, collaborating with the associations of tenants. So this is one of the indicators of energy poverty. And you can see that energy poverty decreases massively after the intervention. And this also another indicator is energy expenditure as percentage of income. Again, is another indicator of energy poverty. You can see that in Denmark it decreases much less because the starting point is much higher. But for Italy and Latvia is particularly interesting. Latvia is they're great. They're really, really on board with this. But for them, you need to speak money, otherwise. There's no going anywhere. Okay, so I'll tell you later more details about it, but we are collaborating with local ESCOs at the moment in order to put in place some part of this investment and actually involve the private sector financing and start collecting some money for having the first step. Okay, that's all from me. There were some other slides, but thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Paula, on highlighting how this blending financing perspective with the collaboration with the ESCOs, which we are doing as well in the CLR, is really a way with these energy contracts to achieve this energy renovations with not having that much of an initial funding in order to have this energy savings in the end. Now it's the more excited part for you. I think we are right on time. We are having approximately half an hour in order to hear your questions, hear your concerns on some of the projects or of the areas that you are working on sharing with us some of the best practices. As you noticed from our projects, we try to make it as inclusive as possible in order to cover all the aspects, I would say, of the renovation, the whole journey. But the most important, as we're noting in all of them, is that the priority, the key of it was the social inclusion and the citizens. So it's I would now invite you to, if you have any questions, to raise your hand to some specific speakers. Do not hesitate. If not, I mean, I already have some of my concerns, my questions to some of the panelists, but it's always better to have the audience together with us and asking. So if not, if you on the other side hesitate to ask the questions, I'm having some questions for you. So it's better to start talking instead of me before I point out the figures to you.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
With regards the measurements of the indoor quality, apart from the technical aspects of this, do you also include social assessment there, like let's say pre-intervention service with the residents and post-intervention service, how they feel? Do they recognize any improvements of the living conditions?
Yeah, for the Breathe Health Together project, of course, we've tried to have a before and after kind of study, but it's always we mentioned that in the previous workshop as well. It's always hard to ask people how they feel about the indoor climate, because indoor climate is in many senses untouchable. You cannot really relate it. You can relate, as you talked about before, can you cool and warm your house? Easy question to answer. Have you high CO2 levels in your house? Who can answer that? I can't, or I maybe learned how to answer that, but that's due to my profession. Most people cannot. They can explain if they have headache, if they have a dry skin. They can explain more physical behaviors rather than if this is a good conditions or bad conditions.
No, I was referring to their feelings.
Yeah.
And then you can correlate the data. If, for example,
and
feel better after the renovation, and you correlate this with decreasing temperature or having the good humidity level, and it shows that there are benefits for them, not only like in forms of numbers and nice graphics, but also for
And
behavioral.
in the end, this is the important thing to understand, of course, if we are doing something that is better afterwards than before. I mean, we can always talk about energy efficiency or data back and forward, but in reality, we do it before residential, for your living conditions. We do it for the children in the schools. We do it for ourselves in the office or in universities. In reality, it's for the human beings. So your question is super important. The question is how to measure it. I was talking in previous workshop about the project we did in Sweden for a school where we really involved the students. But you need to be very careful. You need to ask the questions so they know what they are answering on. If you have a low grade students, of course, you need to have maybe have to do drawings or scaling something instead of asking how do you actually feel, because it's really hard to set words on those kind of conditions. But for sure, this is super important.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think we're having one question from the back. If possible, say your name and your organization if you want, in order to.
Mia Lajusala from VTT, Finland. I'm just connecting to this that it's difficult to really measure, because it also can affect your psychological state can also. If you think that it's really good that this is renovated, then you feel better about the indoor environment also.
It is. We're doing some. It might be included in Breathe the Health Air Together as well, where we're trying to measure eco conditions in a building, having different building parts, where you're doing different actions in different areas, and trying to resonate between. Do you see the difference in responding? But as you say, as soon as you start to say that you're actually doing something, you will start to think. And the question will be always, I mean, we've done this several times. If you start to ask people, are your skin dry? Then after you have said that question, you will have problem to get the answers, because suddenly people will say, maybe I have a dry skin. And suddenly you have imposed the respondent, which is tricky.
Amazing. My question though is like here, both of your projects by IAQ, QS and the Multicare are utilizing these digital tools, even from the solutions developed in the laboratory, like yours, or like with the sensors and everything. How difficult it is, this digitalization, and how you encourage the citizens to utilize, first of all, these tools, but most importantly, how do you engage them in the tools creation, how we're utilizing the citizens for the co-creation of the tools.
Yep.
As we're having a specific pilot, one of the Italian one in Castello Green, who they want, this is what they want to achieve, and they're really struggling a lot in order to co-create the tools together with the citizens, as they just want to get the tool and just use it. Yep. They don't want to participate in the creation project, I mean, to support and sharing with organization, the company, the NGO, the needs of.
It's a very broad question, because I think from my side, the first conditions is of course to start to create the base foundation, so we know where we start from, and that's why we need to measure. That's why we need to understand the current conditions. But the other part of the question is of course, I normally when I'm talking about visualization of the invisible, because indoor climate, as I work within, are invisible for many people. We touched into that just in the discussion previously, and then you need to understand what is the purpose. Is the purpose for the facility management and the headmaster for a school to adjust the schedule for the pupils, or is it for a residential to understand if I need to open the windows? So it's a multi-purpose. I mean, that is the question, And in reality, you need to bring the knowledge in the way that you are, you want the behavior to be. If you want the headmaster to react on something, you need to bring that data in front of her or him. If you need people living in a dwelling to act on something, it's maybe a color or something. It's maybe something very simple that makes you act. Because if you say your VOC level is 300, doesn't mean anything. You need to convert it to something that people understand. And that's the way it is, I would say, in many cases. We have a tool showing when you're entering your university or office building, all the premises you have, where do you have good conditions? Or do I want to have a colder environment today? Yeah, there we have the colder environment, and then you can start to move yourself, and then you create behavior patterns that you actually can take decisions based on data that you got received immediately. So it's a complex question, but we need to get there. Otherwise, we will never achieve what we're aiming for.
I might say from a different perspective, as my specialization, let's say, is on this UX UI research and design. So you were mentioning about that you receive information 300 CO2 level. So based on the interactions with the residents, they just need the emoji.
Yeah.
For example, red emoji suggesting your air quality is not very good. I suggest you to open the window, or making it very easy communication between the app or the software and the user, which really helps them to understand, even using the icon of the open window, anything that is going to be simple in understanding. It really helps them to start using this if it's really simple. Like
I totally agree. The tricky part is behind. When does an icon turn orange or red?
yeah,
That is a tricky discussion, and that is why we need the measurements.
yes, this is one more, but it's happening in the backend side.
Yes.
The people that really do not need to
Exactly.
know the processes that are behind it.
Yep.
Amazing. One question that I have concern about, Arnold, is basically we're discussing about retrofitting. Retrofitting nowadays, basically the political framework that's existing, should go at least hand in hand with circularity. For the circularity, I know that it is quite okay, I would say, and easy to implement in the small scale renovation or retrofitting practice and procedure. For the large scale, what are the barriers in adapting this circular solution and this inclusive? I mean, you showed to us a lot of digital tools and a lot of circularity on the IJ project. How, what are the huge barriers that you face to the project in order to adapt this, or you are going to face in the next year in adapting this entire demos? And maybe Javier, accompany this question for the renovation packages that we are suggesting, how you are including the circularity dimension to it.
Yeah, to get the materials available, that's one of the challenges close to the demo site, because there's no, we start to have like bank of materials and stuff like that, but you need to be able to use it with insurance problematics so it's like a new domain, so you need to take care of that. And that's okay for demo site. It's we can find like some small amount of materials, but how to get things much more larger. I think that's one of the main challenges.
Yeah, from my point of view, thinking more in relation to the house, I think it's very important to take this into account in the design. So when you are designing something, you need to start thinking about how to take into account these circular approaches, which type of materials you need to use, what type of system. So in our case, we are developing renovation packages that are composed of different elements. So these elements that we are integrating in our renovation package should be think in a way that could be at the end of the life, for example, recyclable or reused, or the same for the materials. For example, we have isolation materials that are made of waste wood. So we are using this waste wood in order to create isolation. So, but you should take this into the designing. Not at the end, it's not possible to reduce, recycle. So maybe it's possible, but not in the same percentage that you would like to do it. So it's very important to have this into accounting since the beginning.
In addition to the materials, I will also say the production of the components, also to be in a neighborhood if we speak about this. The sustainability and circularity of the materials that are brought to the factory, and from the factory to the building site to shorten the distances. It's really important to have this whole value chain in the neighborhood around.
Yeah, I think now we have changed because the buildings we want to retrofit or the material we can use. We're not think on we need to reuse materials, and so it's quite difficult to get some reused materials. And so we can see circularity in two ways: it's reuse existing materials, but how we'll have built building in order to be able to reuse it. And so we start this. One, the process will be okay. It will be much more easier to get this.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm having some other questions to the speaker, but I would like now to ask you basically, from all what you see, are there some resources or like support that you are going to believe that they're available for your organization to maybe replicate, to maybe adapt, or if you're having quite important, worth mentioning renovation projects or ideas, practice that are taking place in your region, your area, that you would like to share with us in order for us to gain some insights as well? No? Shall I continue with the questions to the speakers? Do you have maybe? Yeah.
No, so I am Mariangela Vespa. I work in Germany at ITSES Research Institute, and I am a research psychologist, so different background. It was very interesting to hear your presentation. Thank you so much. But no, I was just thinking about again this how to involve the society, the communities, and understood that we were talking about knowledge. Of course, it's a key aspect, but I was also thinking how, if in your project somehow you consider also all the other kind of psychological aspects, and I talk about the norms, about the needs of population. And we are talking about several countries, several cities. So I ask myself, it's super interesting, but sometimes it's even hard for me to understand all these technological aspects. And I think, yes, knowledge, but also how do we really take care of the needs of population in different projects and so on. So maybe it's a different topic, and but just a comment from my side, because I can tell you more about the technical aspect.
If I can respond really fast, and then if someone of the speakers wants to accompany me, it is quite relevant, I would say, at least for the CLR. That was the main idea of why the Commission in general, with this initiative, with this standard, wanted to target Danish communities. As Danish communities, we are targeting citizen and its communities. Basically, what was the main idea and how we're structuring it is that in the beginning of the project, the most important is to organize local workshops in all of the Danish communities we're having, in order to have an open floor from the citizens to give us their needs, to discuss exactly what they're going to need, what they want to be able to proceed with this, or like some specific cases. For example, some of them wanted to have more better indoor air quality. Some of them wanted to have like cheaper, like larger, for example, as they wanted to speak with numbers. Some of them wanted to have a more flexible, I would say, ecosystem and neighborhood, like positive energy districts or something. So that was the core, I would say, part of the CLR, to start discussing, first of all, with the citizens. And it is quite important, at least every 6 months or 1 year, depending on each community, one workshop is taking place with all the members of the energy community, which are the citizens, in order to update them on what has been achieved, to discuss the new steps, to refine a little bit the idea. That's why we're supporting the business models in order to have the citizens in accord, but then to fully target the citizen needs and adapt all the plans and all the future needs and all the future guidance for the finance, the investments, to guide them exactly in the needs, the real needs, the timely needs, I would say, from the needs that are consisting of the energy community or the members, I would say, the municipality and the others. Even if that we're having one of the pilots is a municipality, they are quite active with the citizens in order to co-design all the support needed based on the citizen needs. I think you wanted to mention something this year as well.
Yeah, Soren from Denmark, representing Semtech and Hydrogen Valley. First of all, thank you all for your presentation. Just want to raise the flag for our own organization because I think it's a perfect match with what you just discussed. Semtech is an acronym for Center for Energy and Material Technology, and we own the business park in Denmark, and we are of course interested in energy optimization. So if you have any interest in getting a new lighthouse or testing some technology, please reach out. I think it's been very interesting and might be very suitable for our organization.
A comment to what you asked for about the needs. I think it's really good to work with the users, if we call them there, or the occupants. The question will be, do they know all their needs? I like the idea you mentioned, energy performance contracting and that kind of. It's very tangible. It's very easy to understand money, as you say. But all things that you need that you're not aware of. I need an indoor space where I don't get heart diseases. Will I bring up that in a workshop? Probably not, because you assume that you have that, which you don't in many cases. So it's always a balance between influencing and listening. So I think it's an interaction between.
Two last questions on my side, and then I'm going to wrap up and everything. The first question is more on finance, and the second is on the policy. For the finance, is basically you highlighted a lot of different financial mixes, different purposes, different schemes, financial schemes, together with experts, with different contracts. What financial mix do you recommend in order to keep most of the projects, either renovation projects, bankable? If interest rates or energy prices spikes, and why you are suggesting this mix?
So actually, in the evaluation that I showed you, we have already taken this into account. So our evaluations are based on future market scenarios, both macroeconomic, considering also the spikes in energy prices. From what we have seen and working with our lighthouse districts, what will work the best is starting with some funding that is national or European level, and then filling the funding up with some parasector financing. But obviously, it is very challenging because you need to do a specific evaluation for that site, considering what are the regulations for the country, also working with the citizens, the tenants who are living there. There are so many constraints that need to be considered, but at the end of the day, the private sector, again, the thing that they care about is the return on investment. But we have demonstrated through our project that actually there are very good returns from this type of investment, and plus there are the positive aspects of the impact on society overall with the decrease in CO2 emissions. So, okay, we cannot measure specifically what are the level of CO2 within the building, but we can measure what is the overall decrease of CO2 emissions coming from this type of interventions. But the other thing probably would be to transform, to have some kind of monetization of these co-benefits. So what is the positive impact for society in the decrease of CO2 emissions and decrease of pollutions? Would be good to find some type of reward for that is also financial. And for that, the thing is that we need to collaborate directly with the government. That needs to be either a tax or something that can also involve the financial sector directly in that way. But so this type of collaboration with also involving the energy service companies is what works best from what we have seen from our lighthouse visits. And guys, later on, if you want, I can tell you more details if I'm interested.
Amazing. And my last question is basically, as we're talking about numbers, let's talk about the bad numbers. I noticed in your presentation that 7.7 million per year dies from the smoke conditions, like 8 million per year are dying from heart diseases conditions. So it's basically it's one of the most important dimensions is the health. The indoor air quality is basically the health of the renovation, the health aspect of the renovation. How do you believe this indoor air quality should be considered as an integral part of the European renovation ambitions or wave, and how it is important for each one of the member states to include the indoor air quality as an indicator or something in the future renovation plans or like in the legislation? As currently the only existing, like it's the IPCs for the renovation, it's only done its performance certificate. Even at least maybe the SRI, the smart energy indicator, but the indoor air quality, even if there isn't a plate provided by the Commission, most of the member states do not know even exactly what it's about, or they're just having it like in a store or something. While, as you can see, the numbers are quite huge, badly huge.
They're really huge. The problem is always if you should count on social or health value and convert that to money, it's super hard because it's you can do that, of course, but it becomes so ridiculous numbers that you immediately it doesn't listen. That's a fact. So that's why you listen to energy questions instead, because it's easier to and more tangible. I'm anyway super lucky. We have a new EPBD in place that clearly states out IEQ as a balancing factor. SRIs will help. We don't know how it will actually turn out in the member states yet, but there will be some basic demands anyway. I think one of our issues is that we tend to be technical, we tend to be data driven. And one of the projects I presented was together with the medicine, with the health science. And I think that is a correlation that we need to do often, more often than we do, because we need both parts. We need the medical science combined with the technical science or building science. And we do that too seldom. And that's why we are missing the arguments from time to time. And maybe we're even missing to be trustworthy talking about this, because we are not the wrong sender of the message. And I think that is a key. That is not legislation in reality, it's research rather. But let's see what happens in May next year when the new legislation should be put in place in the member states. I have a small hope that it may be better. But I also would like to encourage all of you in the research you do and in the projects to don't forget the indoor conditions when we're doing good things in the building. Because it's easy to cut cost from and sacrifice the indoor climate. You just shut off the ventilation as we have done in this building or something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
which
So-
will have an effect somewhere. Sorry.
No. First of all, thank you very, very much for attending this session. I believe it's now time to. I almost like 2 minutes out of time. I'm going to utilize 2 extra more minutes from your coffee break. First of all, I would like to thank you for the attendance. It was quite a success, I would say, today's workshop. At least we tried to provide you all the insights that we have gained based on our experience, based on our projects. We tried to cover the whole renovation journey, as we said, but as we said, the most important was the citizens who are proceeded in every part of the steps of the whole renovation journey, which is basically what all of us and the organization behind us and all our daily actions are trying to do. I think we really managed to, over the past 90, 100 minutes, we really tried to explore how these 6, I would say, leading European projects and initiatives are driving this transformation of the building renovation landscape, how we're trying to enhance this renovation perspective, but not enhance it only for the numbers, but make it more inclusive, make it better for the citizens themselves. As I said, let's talk about the next steps. You might want to know about the next steps of each other project. For the citizen renovation, basically till now, it demonstrated how the empowering Danish communities and Ireland citizens has an active role in the decision making can unlock this whole motivation and the trust. We are focusing a lot on the trust of the renovation process, and it did remind us how the energy transition must start with the people and not with the technology and the digital tools. That's why I asked the question for the co-creation. Then about the multi-care, sorry for the citizen-led, it's a 3rd phase going out with much bigger numbers, a whole new network that is going to be there to support furthermore the energy communities in order to try to establish a huge energy community network with a lot of exchanges, best practice, but actively with experts to being there to support them. For multi-care, thank you very much, Lucas, for showing the importance of this multi-hazard, resilience-oriented approach with integrating these low-carbon, circular, adaptable, I would say, solutions that are making the buildings a little bit safer and more durable in the face of the climate and natural risk. For the next steps of that project is basically focusing on the finalizing the whole design phase and going to the production of the components. You highlighted a lot of the production of the components is quite important, and quite important is also the real world installation of these plug and play facades. In the parallel, the digital tools are continuing to be tested and developed towards the final version. And of course, what is more, it's that multi-care is starting some living lab sessions, which is quite important to participate with the stakeholders, which basically the citizens' involvement that it needs to be during the whole project. Then it's IAQS, which we analyzed a lot today as it's covering the health and through the organization itself, but the 2 projects that you provided us with, you provide this essential health component to the discussion, and you try to connect this air quality with the comfort, with cardiovascular well-being, with and you also highlighted how this how the renovation would support all these 3 aspects. I mean, it could be a lot of supported, and should also be like and the renovation should also shift a little bit about the healthier indoor environment and the long-term public health benefits.
Yep.
That's basically the approach. On the other side, sorry, from the IG project, which provided us this integrated renovation retrofitting modules with who are based on the modular, industrialized digital plug and play systems, and demonstrated how this holistic design and renewable integration can turn existing buildings into nearly zero energy or zero energy. I don't know how you're going to achieve this. You already highlighted that's the next steps, which is basically from the research to the reality. In the last year of the project, you are going to do the real implementation of the cases. Just for reminder, it's going to be the Spain with the educational building. It's going to be in Denmark with the social housing. It's going to be in France with residential homes for elderly people. and in Romania for a single family house. So we are having a lot of inclusivity. This we are covering, I would say, I believe most, if not all, of the aspects, like both elderly, both education with a young, both the social housing and the normal family house of the building. For the rehouse, Javier stated a lot how this prefabricated, multifunction, as I previously said, renovation packages could really support and scale up and speed up the most important, the large-scale renovation processes, which is the most important, and try to enhance this renovation rate, which I believe it got a little bit enhanced from 2024 from the 1%. I think it reached like 2%, but it needs to be like 5 or 6 based on all the policy. And the most important is that I would like to emphasize on this policy alignment that you mentioned, that we are clearly providing some recommendations to the European Renovation Wave, which is one of the most important, I would say, outcomes of your project. For the next steps, it's the progression toward the finalization and implementation of the demo size, the performance monitoring assessment, the deployment of the digital tools. A lot of publications going to be launched based on this solution sheet handouts of the 8 renovation packages. Sorry for this. I think it's quite important to promote them in order for all of us to have a look about it. Of course, there's going to be a lot of public reports, guidelines for integrating the models in retrofitting designing tools. That's, I think, both important for all of us that are talking with and emphasizing the retrofitting. Manufacturing progresses of the 8 renovation packages, installation of 8 renovation packages, and of course, the recycling the components of these 8 renovation packages. And of course, in 2026 is going to be the launch of the digital tools that are going to take place to support this perspective. 1 second to open the phone, as the laptop couldn't stand anymore. And the last one for the super sign. I think the numbers talk by themselves. It was amazing how you try to analyze the energy savings based on each of the category in order to highlight to the people how the savings from a number, where they're coming from. They're coming from the walls, they're coming from the windows, they're coming from the environment. It is good to highlight how the energy savings it's connected with the indoor air quality as well, as the savings could benefit the comfort. So it's quite important. For the next steps, it is a familiar term that we are going to be heard. They are going to launch a one-stop shop platform. So it's I think most of you should know at least what is the one-stop shop, which is like to be a free of information entry point. You're going to organize a lot of crowdfunding campaigns for lighthouses. Crowdfunding is quite important for us as well for the CLR. We are trying to do a lot of webinars for the crowdfunding, as we really believe these financial schemes should try to defer to each other and to try to have the best case scenarios. Of course, you mentioned that you're going to have a replication in different fellow cities. And the last but not least is the launch, the energy savings and finance analyzing tools in your website. I think that's it for our side. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it, but most importantly, that you learn about it, which was our main purpose of this session. If you want, you can connect with our projects, some of them at least.
We have a website.
You can find, yeah. I mean, you can find the title and the logos there. In order to be able to connect to us, to follow us, as we say, a lot of real important documents and real demo actions are taking place. So I believe it's quite important for you to follow up. But most importantly, as I said, I asked you before, if you have any other examples, best practices that you want to share with us, all the emails are existing in the project, so feel free to contact us directly or discuss it outside of here in order to share with us all your situations or your real examples that you're facing, in order to motivate us, to enhance us, or to modify a little bit our approach on what we're seeing and we're supporting in our initiatives, the people, the users, the clients, how everyone is calling them, in order to ensure this inclusivity and to scale up the impact, which is the main purpose of today's session. So thank you very much.